In today's Final Touch, we take you to the Dubai Air Show, the Middle East's largest aviation event.
And one of the highlights this year, electric plane races. Airbus is partnering with Air Race E with a launch of new motorsports series. Air Race E CEOs unveiled what's claimed to be the world's first electric race planes. The E-Racers' customized electric motor will let it race around a circular track at speeds of 280 miles an hour. Its lithium batteries will provide power for around 5 minutes. It's hoped that Air Race E teams will also help accelerate electric propulsion technology across the aviation industry. That's our time for now. Thanks for watching. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, how help from a specially equipped drone helped bring an early morning chase to a peaceful end.
Plus, why a man recently convicted of repeated sexual assault of a child will not be serving any jail time.
Plus, in Rock County, an LGBTQ group, a youth group, is asking the city of Beloit to ban a therapy practice. How they're hoping to do that. Coming up.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3 Now. What started as a simple traffic stop for a registration violation ended with police rescuing a man who was stuck in the mud.
It happened early this morning near the Alliant Energy Center, and now a 28-year-old man is in jail for resisting an officer. Our Amanda Quintana is here with more on the technology that was used to find him. Amanda?
Fitchburg police say just when it looked like Uriah Smith was pulling over, he left the car in reverse. It backed up and almost hit the squad car. Then officers see him jump out the passenger side of the car and run into a nearby marsh. That's when they called in Madison police and their drone. You can see in the video that it took just seconds for the infrared camera to pick up his body heat, and officers and a canine knew exactly where to find him.
Without the assistance of the canine and the drone, we may not have ever found him, and you know, it definitely could have been a life-threatening situation considering the temperatures and the fact that he is stuck in water.
When they found Smith, he was in waist-deep water and couldn't get out because of all the mud. Officers had to use a rope to pull him out. He has since told police that he panicked and ran because he doesn't have a driver's license, and he's now in jail with a tentative charge of resisting an officer. At 6, we'll hear more about how this drone is really a game changer for MPD, not just for catching suspects, but also for finding people who are missing.
A person was killed in a rollover crash this afternoon on the Beltline. It happened about 12:50 between Monona Drive and the Broadway exit. A Madison dispatcher said the wreck involved one vehicle. One person was thrown from that vehicle. 2 lanes of the Beltline are now open, but Monona police say they expect to be on scene for some time. A Madison man convicted of repeated child sexual assault will serve 5 years probation under a ruling handed out in Dane County Court this week.
But police and the Rape Crisis Center are questioning why he likely won't serve any prison time for his crime. Rose Schmidt spoke with them, and she's here now to explain. Rose.
Nathan McQuillan took a plea deal in September, pleading guilty to 1 count of repeated sexual assault of a child. Under a judge's ruling this week, he won't see any prison time unless he seriously violates his probation. Court documents show a child and McQuillan met on Craigslist in 2016. The child told McQuillan he was 18, but he was really 13 when they began meeting up to have consensual sexual encounters at a Wanakee church, a wooded area in Wanakee, and in a car. Documents show the teen eventually revealed his real age to McQuillan, and their relationship continued until 2018. An anonymous friend of the victim told Wanakee police. The head of the Rape Crisis Center says the judge's ruling yesterday is a slap on the wrist.
I think the judge had a decision to make here that could have not only, convicted this person to the way that they should have been, but it also sent a message to the community that when children or anybody else who can't consent, when somebody has sex with them against their consent, that is indeed sexual assault.
Wanakee police tell us they were, quote, disappointed and surprised to learn of the judge's sentence, given that there was a child involved, there were repeated acts, and the suspect was aware of the victim's age. 2 other charges were dismissed but read into the record yesterday. We reached out to the district attorney and McQuillan's attorney for comment, but have not heard back, and anyone who is in need of assistance is encouraged to call the Rape Crisis Center 24-hour hotline.
Rose, thank you. And we turn things over to weather now. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti in our first alert forecast. Gary?
Well, Eric, temperatures are on the mild side, and that could lead to some areas of fog overnight. In fact, as we take a look at pinpoint visibilities right now, they're around 8 miles in Madison, but notice out to the west, 0 visibility right now in Viroqua and 1.25 miles in La Crosse. So there will be some areas of fog overnight. Some of that could be locally dense, but I'm not expecting widespread dense fog. And that's because temperatures are above freezing. We're at 37 here in Madison. Temperatures around 40 near the Mississippi River, and that's helping to melt some of the snow. So that temperatures over the next the next 12 hours will move very little. In fact, drop to right around freezing or just above by 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. And tomorrow should be a milder day with high temperatures in the lower 40s. We could be up around 50 on Thursday, but that will come at a cost. We'll see some rain tomorrow night and Thursday morning. I'll have more details on weather in a few minutes.
Gary, thank you. Sheriff's officials say a man who abducted his ex-girlfriend at gunpoint in Green Bay has been killed by law enforcement in Kewaunee County after he shot the woman. Officers say 38-year-old Luis Cardona was fatally shot by authorities after he shot his ex-girlfriend, Babette Carabello. Police say he kidnapped her from her workplace. Police tracked their cell phones to an ATV park, ending in the victim and suspect being shot.
It's a true tragedy that we tried to resolve this without any sort of harm to anyone. But unfortunately, in this case, the suspect in this situation pretty much, made the decisions or was forcing us into, ultimately what occurred.
The victim is at a Green Bay hospital. Her condition is not immediately known. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is now investigating.
Police arrested a Madison man during a high-risk traffic stop after he had taken his baby from the child's mother yesterday morning. Officers say 37-year-old Heyman Williams is accused of going to his baby's mother's home where he strangled and threatened her with a knife and a gun and then took the baby. Madison police negotiators convinced him to drop the child off with another family member. Police found Williams and he was arrested and could face multiple counts, including suspicion of second-degree recklessly endangering safety.
The second impeachment hearing of the day is still going on before the House Intelligence Committee. Former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine, Kurt Volker, told lawmakers he would have expressed objections had he been aware of the push to get Ukraine to investigate the Bidens. Volker was joined by former National Security Council official Tim Morrison. He was on the July 25th phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky.
I feared at the time of the call on July 25th how its disclosure would play in Washington's political climate. My fears have been realized.
At no time was I aware of or knowingly took part in an effort to urge Ukraine to investigate former Vice President Biden.
In an earlier hearing, Vice Presidential aide Jennifer Williams and Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman of the National Security Council expressed concerns about the call. President Trump said he watched some of the hearing. He called the proceedings a, quote, kangaroo court and a big scam. There are 2 more days of public testimony this week. Tomorrow, 3 more people will testify. They are Gordon Sondland, Laura Cooper, and David Hill. Then on Thursday, Fiona Hill and David Holmes will testify. As always, you can watch the full coverage right here on News 3 Now.
A Rock County community is urging city leaders to ban conversion therapy. It is a controversial practice of trying to change an individual's sexual orientation using interventions. Adam Duxter spoke with leaders from multiple organizations and joins us now with more. Adam?
Yeah, well, Susan and Eric, conversion therapy isn't backed by those in the scientific or the medical communities, but leaders I talked to today say that doesn't mean it's not happening in the state of Wisconsin. And they say it could be detrimental, especially to youth in the LGBTQ community.
In the heart of downtown Beloit,
we have our first therapy room here.
Attentive Counseling Services says it's trying to make a difference.
This is actually our art therapist's office.
All the counselors here are trained to help those with ADHD, also those who are LGBT. Co-owner Rob Shue says there's a growing need for these services.
We get reports from clients who've gone to other clinics around here where their therapists get so uncomfortable when they find out their orientation that they actually get up and walk out.
Shue says actions like this can be intimidating, especially for younger children, and can lead to talk therapy or conversion therapy, where licensed therapists or trusted leaders try to change a client's sexual orientation.
We know it doesn't work. You can bully and intimidate somebody into changing their behaviors temporarily, but most of these success stories are actually because the individual was either pansexual or bisexual, and they're actually ignoring a piece of themselves.
In 2018, Madison became the second city in Wisconsin to ban the practice. And at last night's city council meeting, Rob and others asked Beloit to join.
If this council votes to ban conversion therapy in Beloit, it will send an important message to our community, especially to our youth, that Beloit is a safe place to live.
Shu says more than anything, a ban would send the message that the city values diversity and inclusion.
Now, in a memo, Beloit City Manager Lori Curtis Luther says while the city does support diversity and inclusion, they might not have the legal authority to make this change. Now, further in the memo, she says any change that is made might have to come at a statewide level.
Adam, thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
The city of Beloit says it has shut down one of its wells after finding higher radium levels than normal. According to a release, samples were collected from November of last year to September of this year. The city will not specify where that well is located, but says while there is no short-term risk to radium exposure, it will create a mitigation plan to repair the well before reopening it.
The Goodman Community Center says it is facing a turkey emergency ahead of its Thanksgiving basket drive. The Goodman Center says they're short 500 turkeys for the 31st annual Thanksgiving basket drive. The program aims to give out 3,500 baskets of food to help nearly 21,000 people have a holiday meal. The baskets are set to be distributed Saturday through Monday. If you'd like to make a donation, visit goodmancenter.org/donate.
The Dodgeville Middle School leadership team is raising money to bring 2 therapy dogs to the school. Right now, they're having a fundraiser at Culver's in Dodgeville, which will be donating 10% of profits to that project. It'll go until 10 tonight, and you can also meet the future therapy dogs, Maui and Oliver. They will be at Culver's until 8 tonight. More to come on News 3 Now at 5. Up next, 2 prison guards who were responsible for guarding Jeffrey Epstein have been charged. We'll tell you what crimes they are facing.
And coming up tonight at 6, Governor Evers signed a new bill that would dedicate a portion of Highway 33 in Portage to a fallen hero. We'll have that story tonight at 6.
A bit of a tumble on Wall Street in Tuesday trading. The Dow off 102 points. The Nasdaq gains almost 21. The S&P drops almost 2. And we'll be right back.
Two correctional officers responsible for guarding Jeffrey Epstein the night he killed himself have now been charged with falsifying prison records. A grand jury indictment accused guards Toval Noel and Michael Thomas of failing to perform checks on Epstein every half hour as required and of fabricating log entries to show that they had. Epstein was found dead in his cell in August as he awaited trial on charges of sexually abusing teenage girls. New York City's medical examiner ruled Epstein's death a suicide. The officers were offered a plea deal by prosecutors, but they declined to take it.
The parents of a Cornell University freshman are offering a $10,000 reward to solve the mystery surrounding their son's death. The body of 18-year-old Antonio Cialis was found days after he vanished following a fraternity party in October. Cornell University police say no foul play is suspected. According to the university's president, officials have not determined Antonio's cause of death, but say the party was a, quote, unregistered fraternity-sponsored event where alcohol was served, and that the events regrettably follow a pattern of misconduct in the Greek system.
My gut feeling at that point was he was with others.
Your message to anyone who saw him that night is what?
Please have the courage to come forward and let us know what really happened that night.
The university has suspended that fraternity. In a statement, Phi Kappa Psi offered its, quote, deepest condolences, said its members continue to work with police.
Two teachers who were held hostage by the Taliban for more than 3 years were freed overnight in a rare prisoner swap. Kevin King from Pennsylvania was released by the Taliban today, along with Australian Timothy Weeks. They were teachers at the American University in Kabul when they were kidnapped in 2016. In exchange, the Taliban received 3 senior members. The swap could be a catalyst to restart the peace talks with the Taliban that broke down in September.
In less than 3 months, Iowa will kick off the presidential primary season with the first in the nation caucuses, giving the first indication of who voters support. Students at Drake University in Des Moines have seen 14 candidates come to their campus. While youth turnout saw a significant boost in 2018, the question remains, will Gen Z show up next year?
I think the youth vote really does hinge on who the Democrats pick.
I think there's a lot of passion that's out there. I think that a lot of people feel like we're at a crossroads that we've never been at before.
Experts are predicting Americans will turn out in record numbers to vote in the 2020 election. 4 million teenagers will turn 18 before Election Day. And research shows more than 60% of adults have never been asked to even register. So MTV is urging first-time voters to bring at least one person with them to the polls. As part of this year-long campaign, MTV is partnering with artists who are voting in their first election to inspire young fans to vote.
Let's get a look at the weather now. Gary is here, and it's a little foggy out there tonight, Gary.
Yeah, it depends on where you are. With the fog is going to vary in intensity, but right now these are current visibilities. Here in Madison, 8-mile visibility, really not too bad, but the farther west you go, the lower the visibility. Viroqua has actually improved to a quarter of a mile. They were at 0 visibility at the top of the hour. Most of the major reporting stations seeing visibilities in the 2 to 4 mile range, although Lone Rock and Wisconsin Dells a little bit less than that. If we take a look at the future track visibility forecast, you can see how those visibilities drop to around a mile or so by early tomorrow morning, but then as the day goes on, the visibility should start to improve pretty quickly. So I'm not expecting widespread dense fog, but be aware that there's the possibility that you could be running into some of that overnight. On Doppler track, things are actually pretty quiet. We've got a lot of cloud cover, but very little in the way of precipitation across the upper Midwest. That will change by tomorrow night. We'll see a pretty potent storm system, but it will also warm us up. High temperatures tomorrow should be in the lower 40s, and then strong southerly winds will cause rising temperatures tomorrow night. It will be up to 50 on Thursday morning before a cold front comes through. That'll put an end to the rain, but also cause temperatures to drop off in the afternoon. So we're back down to 35 on Friday. But temperatures should be still right around normal for the weekend, and then we'll have to watch a storm system in the couple of days right before Thanksgiving because of the potential for some snow or rain with snow. So the 3 things you need to know: fog likely tonight, and that could reduce visibilities, but temperatures should stay at or above freezing. And then tomorrow we'll look for highs in the low 40s, and we'll be around 50 on Thursday morning before those temperatures fall off. And then again, rain likely Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Could see somewhere between a ½ inch and an inch of rain. But we also have alert days in the forecast for next Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday will be windy with occasional rain. Now, that could start as a mix of rain and snow early and then start to mix with snow again Tuesday night, and on Wednesday change over to snow when there's the potential for some snow accumulation. That's the day before Thanksgiving when a lot of people are traveling. Take a look at future track beginning Tuesday morning. Notice the precipitation just to our south and west is the main area of low pressure. You can see the swirl in the wind arrows tracks just about over southern Wisconsin. So initially we're on the warm side of the storm with rain through late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, but notice by Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, that change over to snow as the colder air wraps around as the storm lifts to the north. So that's when we could be looking at the potential for some snow accumulation. By Thanksgiving morning, the snow should be gone, but it will be a cold Thanksgiving day. The live view from the Edgewater Skycam in downtown Madison. Pretty quiet out there, not seeing any fog in the lights of the Capitol. High temperature today, 37, the low 32. Below normal high temperature, but above normal low temperature. So on the average, we're about average for today. 37, the current temperature with cloudy skies, humidity at 86%. Eventually, we'll see some areas of fog form. So for tonight, look for mostly cloudy skies with areas of fog. Low temperature only dropping to 32, so we'll continue to melt snow for much of the night. And then for tomorrow, look for a high of 43 with cloudy skies, and it will be a little milder. Cloudy skies, fog overnight, temperatures dropping only to around the freezing mark, and then notice those winds shifting to a southeasterly direction, getting highs in the lower 40s. There could be some sunshine for a period late in the afternoon, but then clouds move back in pretty quickly, and look what happens tomorrow night as the rain moves through. Temperatures actually rise to a high of 50 early on Thursday morning, and then fall back as winds shift to the northwest later in the afternoon. Rainfall amounts, maybe a ½ inch to an inch or a little bit more down toward the Illinois state line. That with snow melt could lead to some localized flooding. But as we take a look at the extended forecast, quiet weather through the weekend, and then those alert days for Tuesday and Wednesday for that storm system. Thanksgiving, it'll be quiet and cold, and then Friday, quiet as well. As we take a look at first alert traffic right now, there's the belt line at Park Street, and you can see it's not a good night to be on the belt line. We're seeing delays both directions from around Monroe Street or Monona Drive, actually all the way back eastbound. Those delays start almost at Whitney Way, so pretty long commute on the eastbound belt line. Right now, a 37-minute trip from University Avenue to the interstate, 23 minutes going back in the westbound direction. Heading out of Madison, it's a quick 25 minutes down to Janesville on I-3990, 19 minutes to Sauk City on US 12, and 21 minutes to Sun Prairie on East Washington Avenue and US 151. That's your News 3 Now First Alert traffic.
Thank you, Gary.
Ahead on News 3 Now at 5, the holiday season just around the corner. We'll tell you what toys you should avoid buying for kids. It's after a short break. Consumer Advocacy Watch is out with its annual nominees of potentially harmful holiday toys.
Watch says this hedgehog for children 18 months and older could be a choking hazard, and they warn that kids might be tempted to eat this Nickelodeon slime that looks like frozen treats. This year's list also includes the Nerf Ultra One that shoots Nerf darts and a toy gun that advocates believe could be mistaken for the real thing.
What you get is this, okay? So in addition to being a projectile weapon, it's a realistic-looking toy weapon.
An industry group points out that most of the toys come with manufacturer warnings. In a statement, the Toy Association says watch lists needlessly frighten parents and adds that all toys sold in the United States must meet 100+ rigorous safety tests and standards.
A growing number of people can go to work without ever leaving their house, and new research shows it can be beneficial for both employees and for companies. A Harvard Business School study found remote work not only allows for a flexible schedule, but workers are often more productive than their in-office colleagues, and they save money from not having to commute and can live in more affordable areas.
I want to work for these really cool tech companies in Silicon Valley, but I can't afford the rent over there. Now you don't have to.
LinkedIn estimates since 2016 there's been a 78% increase in job postings that mention work flexibility. Studies have also shown that people who work from home also work more hours than their colleagues who work in an office. Stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment.
Tonight on the CBS Evening News, we'll break down today's key testimony in the impeachment hearings from people who were on that controversial phone call. South Dakota's new anti-drug campaign is getting mixed reviews with this unusual tagline, "Meth, we're on it," why the governor is defending it. And this incredible story, how a group of third graders rallied around their classmate after his family lost everything. We've got those stories and more tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And Gary's here now. A little fog out there tonight.
Yeah, that's a trade-off when you have some snow on the ground and it gets mild. You melt the snow, you add a little moisture to the air. Visibility's right now running around 2 miles or less in some spots out to our west. Temperatures, though, are above freezing, and they should stay at or above freezing all night. Look for mild weather for tomorrow and a warm-up Thursday morning before the temperatures drop, and then a storm toward just before Thanksgiving.
More updates in 30 minutes. CBS Evening News is next.